Welcome back, everyone, to the Rangers review. Aberdeen 2, Rangers 2 in the Scottish Premiership. 10-man Rangers in the end rescue a point in a game that had a lot to talk about. Chris Jack is still at Pittodrie. We are going to have a quick chat about the game now, of course, ahead of the morning briefing tomorrow. So do get your comments in and we'll try to get to a few of them. Chris, I'll come straight to you. You've just been speaking to Barrie Ferguson in the press conference. People can obviously watch that or read that on the YouTube and the website. I imagine he's quite pleased to leave Pittodrie with a point, considering what the trajectory looked like at halftime in that game.
Pleased, unlikely share of the points. I think it is safe to say that first half clearly did not go to plan for Rangers. I thought they offered very, very little in an attacking sense. They were exposed time and time again defensively. Aberdeen rightly ahead, and you've also got the Ross McCausland red card in there as well. And that 2 goals down and a man down, it looked like it was going to be a really long second half for Rangers. But you have to give him a bit of credit. Now, Barrie mentioned that in his post-match press conference here. He's given these players a lot of stick. He's questioned their character, but whatever was said in that team meeting last Monday, it seems to have done the job, because they showed a lot of character on Thursday night to come through against Athletic. And regardless of the circumstances, it's obviously not a hugely important game up here, but to be able to come through and to find a way to get a result at Pittodrie in those circumstances, it does say a wee bit about them, and say about a lot. That's a really makeshift Rangers side. Obviously, Barrie having to put players on in an ideal world he would not have had to call upon, but they managed to find a way to get a point, and it changes the mood a wee bit heading into Thursday. It would have been a real blow if Rangers had been heading into that second leg in the back of a defeat, and potentially a heavy defeat. They managed to avoid that, and I'll credit to them for doing so.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty poor overall. Obviously, the second half is kind of defunct because it's 10 men, and they continue to look better again when they don't have as much of the ball, when they're playing into space. All these points made a million times, so we won't do it again. The first half was like new levels of bad, I thought, in elements of it. For me, I want to flag a quick comment here from Ryan, who says, whilst we complained about the lack of style under Clement, this current long ball tactic is crippling any creative players we may have. If we just focus on on the first half in isolation, first and foremost, Chris, I think Ryan is spot on with that. Ross McCausland has an actual nightmare of a first half, culminating in that red card. And Barrie Ferguson, so much so that Barrie Ferguson has said he maybe should have taken him off before that. See, outside of that, I thought Cortez looked rusty, Danilo looked rusty. But how do Rangers concede that first free kick? Because they go long from a goal kick and they just concede, they're not set up to win second balls. I don't like this kind of belief that, okay, it's less risky to just kick the ball long instead of trying to play through pressure, because you just give the ball away. And that's been quite a factor of recent weeks. So do you think that's fair? Is it all down to individuals? I just thought there was a moment too where Inciala, who played a good few passes, but he had a couple of short passes in midfield, and it seemed like he was still instructed to go forward early, go quickly. And I, again, just thought that's resulted in Rangers losing any sort of control in the first half.
I think it comes back to a point that we've spoken a lot of over the course of the season. We've had a lot of big match debriefs of really poor Rangers performances. I think one of the things we've spoken about a lot has been control, and Rangers do not have control in a lot of these matches. In games like today, it becomes too end-to-end, it becomes too open, they become too easy to get at, and they don't have those sustained periods of pressure and sustained phases of play. Under Clement, we saw a lot of the ball. It's been shuttled from side to side, but that was possession for possession's sake rather than controlling a game, because when they lost it, again, they were far too easy to play through. And that has been a real issue over the course of the entire season. That's something that's only going to be solved with a new manager coming in with a new, fresh set of eyes on this squad, with new players coming in, a new tactical approach, one that has to be a lot better than what we've seen. I think a lot of the Barrie era, it has been a bit of blood and snotters, it has been character, it has been mentality, it has been all the things that we're missing under Clement. All those aspects we're missing. But that doesn't mean to say that it's perfect, because you end up with games like today, like Dens Park, like down at Killie. Also, the Ibrox games have been dreadful in Premiership terms. Rangers, they have picked up results, they have shown wee flashes, but you can't say that what we've seen over the last 8 weeks or so is the foundations of a title-winning team being built. It's just not.
Yeah. It's CGM55 says, I give Curtis pass marks. Sorry, for efforts. And Cialo was okay. That's about it from the first half. Kind of tend to agree with that. I thought Finlay Curtis, he was in unfamiliar positions at points, but fair play to him because he gets the assist for the Igaman goal, which we'll come on to. But yeah, the rest of the first half, Chris, kind of a continuation of that. I thought for the second goal, I don't know if you saw it from your vantage point, but James Tavernier and Robin Proper were kind of arguing because Proper didn't drop with his man, Pat Gay, but he seemed to be criticising Ciala for not cutting out the cross. I thought Proper was poor again. And then Rangers go down to 10 men. Ross McCausland for a second yellow, something you can't really complain with at all. From that point, it really looked like this is about it not getting ugly for Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, why, Chris, do they then look more comfortable in the second half when they go down to 10 men? Is it just, again, a case of, number one, I thought Hamza Igaman up front just makes a big difference, doesn't he? And we'll come on to discuss him. But it is a theme where I think when their backs are to the wall and when it's about sitting in and then springing forward, they're just it tells you a lot about what type of team they are. Mm-hmm. They can look more comfortable in the second half than the first half.
I think it tells you that it's a team and a squad that's ill-equipped for Premiership football. It's a team that is also the Premiership title was not actually decided here today. That's technically it's still on the go. But over the course of a season, we've seen performances like this. We've seen results like this. We've seen that this squad is just not equipped for being able to win the type of matches that you do require to win to be in a title winning position. Rangers have managed to win 2 Old Firm games. They remain 15 points now behind Celtic. You cannot afford to continually be is it 6 out of 7. I think they've been 2 goals behind. So yes, there's a positive that they're able to come back and are able to find ways to get results in some of these matches. Not all of them, obviously, but you can't keep putting yourself in that position. You can't keep making individual mistakes. You can't keep having the same tactical mistakes. You need more from the dugout. You certainly need more on the pitch as well. So it's another game towards the end of what has just been a largely dreadful Premiership campaign for Rangers.
Yeah, but so second half, we should then give them a bit of credit for getting back into it. Joe McCallum says, what about Igaman's goal, by the way? Brilliant feat and a nice cold finish. Ice cold with his finish. That's the first time he's played as a number 9, Chris, since the Aberdeen game at Ibrox in mid-January. How can that have been the case? You know, I don't have any nuanced point to make around that. He is a far better player than the large majority of that team. And for a lot of that second half, I think the plan was keep it tight and hope that Igaman can do something. As I say, I think it is important to give Finlay Curtis a bit of credit for the way he came back into the game after he conceded the crossing opportunity. It's not necessarily his fault because Rangers are down to 10 men by then, I think. So they may be in between shapes anyway. He gets the flick on, Igaman gets the goal, and that offers an avenue back into the game.
I think Curtis does well. As I think you're right to point that out. Barrie defended him in the press conference here. He was asked about Curtis being on the end of a tough time in the first half, and he defended him and said no, that he felt he equipped himself well. I think it's obvious that he looked more comfortable in a more familiar position. He does really well to get on the end of that long ball, flicks it into the right area. But you need to give Igaman so much credit for the way that he takes it in, he holds off a couple of defenders, makes the space for the shot, and then finishes it really well. I did say in my instant analysis piece on the site, and as we discussed pre-match, does the fact that Igaman started today, you look at the other changes made within this group today, does the fact that he started potentially rule him out of starting on Thursday night? Me, I hope not, because he offers so much more than you think how that game is going to unfold. You boys obviously talk a lot about it in the days to come as you head over to Spain. And that number 9 role it's just going to be so important to Rangers. Now, Barrie again mentioned post-match, he knows how they're going to approach the game, he knows everyone will have to do their job properly. It's a case of defending from the front, but also being able to take those type of chances. That's the kind of goal Cyril Dessers doesn't really score. Igaman does. He has that capability. So I think we'll see a lot of build-up. We'll see a lot of comments over the next few days. People will want Igaman to start on Thursday, but I do wonder the way that Barrie picked the side. I think it's probably shaping up for Dessers to get the nod. But if he does, Igaman, he's going to have a part to play, no matter what phase Rangers are in this game. If they need a goal, you're going to throw him on. If they need to try and see the game out, if Rangers get themselves in a great position, and you need someone that can just hold the ball up and take it into tight areas, Igaman's the guy that you pick off the bench.
Yeah, he's just he's an individual. How many Rangers players, maybe not today's starting 11, but at the start of the season, can go by a player 1v1 or just do something unexpected? And Igaman kind of epitomises it. I tend to agree with you. I think it probably will be Dessers who starts, but I would like it to be Hamza Igaman. Chefty also, I think it's worth mentioning, he had a couple of good defensive interceptions at the back post, had that header when it looked like Nisbet was going to score a third goal. Obviously, Aberdeen did score a third goal, but it was chopped off for offside. And then Rangers get back into the game when it looked like Cyril Dessers was the topic of this video was going to be Dessers spurring an opportunity. He actually hits the ball well as Rangers chase a goal in injury time. It's a Ianis Hagi ball over the top into Dessers, which he hits onto the post. The ball then goes to Chefty on the far side of the pitch, who bides it. I think it was Chefty, bides his time, picks out Ianis Hagi, who provides a wonderful finish. Raise this point from Stevie Scotty. Rangers don't control games, and it is moments that get them go. That is spot on. What Stevie is saying there for me, Chris. It's not really sustained patterns of play or goals that you recognise. It is relying on individuals doing something. But Hagi in that moment, he did it, and it was a pretty impressive finish on his left foot.
I think they have been a moments team all season. I think even back to just a couple of weeks or a couple of months into this season, I think we were doing the videos post-match and we were defining them as a moments team, as an individuals team, as a group who relies on players to step up when the chips are down. We've seen it with James Tavernier over the years. We've seen it with Igaman at times this season. Seen it with Dessers at times this season, and as you say, Ianis Hagi is the man that does it this afternoon. A really accomplished finish. It was. I thought Dessers was unlucky with the one that comes back off the post, but Hagi's in the right place, finishes it really well, and as I said right at the top of the show, it gives the Rangers fans something to take back down the road, because at half time, a number of them would have been thinking, we've got a long bus journey back home. I've then got a long journey over to Spain, and there's not a lot of enthusiasm there. But yes, it doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things in Premiership terms. But I think when you come back in a fashion like that, when you get a draw at Pittodrie in the circumstances, it does just give the fans a wee bit of a lift. It should give the players a bit of a lift. But again, as Barrie has spoken about post-match there, they've got the day off tomorrow. They've then got a couple of really important days on the training ground to fine-tune those preparations for Thursday. When once again, moments like that, if they come along, they're going to have to be taken. It's not a match where you're going to have a whole load of chances. It's going to be who can step up in those big moments, and if Rangers can do that, well, who knows?
Yeah, well, who knows indeed. We'll leave it there. Chris is off. You're on a week off now, Chris, aren't you? So you can watch next week unfold at your leisure. But we'll have all the coverage, of course, as Rangers head over to Bilbao, and the Rangers review as well ahead of their second leg in the Europa League quarter-final. Until then, loads for you to get through on the website. If you've not done so already today, please subscribe to our YouTube channel for free as well if you've not done so. And a reminder that this video is brought to you by S1 Jobs. If it's time to hand in your own transfer request at work, loads and loads, thousands of jobs across the Central Belt on the website. You can see the link on the ticker below. We'll leave it there for now. We'll be live with Derek in the morning. Until then, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.